You're listening to the Get Out and Drive podcast with John, custom car nerd Meyer, and Jason, old car guy Carr. We'll be bringing you gearheads everything you never wanted to know about cars and why they should be on the road and not in your garage. Are you ready to get out and drive?
Hey, John, remember when we were kids, they had that little device that you pulled a cord on, it landed on a farm animal and made like a moo or a cluck?
Oh, the CNC.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if they had something like that for cars?
Dude, I think they do.
No way.
No, seriously, I got one right here.
That sounds like a Viper.
It is a Viper. You want to know what a Mustang sounds like?
And no screams.
No screams. You can't hear the crowd at all.
Where would you get a book like that?
This book that we have is called What Cars Say, written by Rachel Alfonso, presented by Exotic Car Hacks. You can go to our website, getoutanddrive.com, and pick up a copy of your own.
I'm going to head right over there right now.
I think that's a fantastic idea. This is a great gift for kids or even adult children like myself. This is fantastic. Teaches kids about cars, has a really good story, and it tells about all the cars. And again, my favorite thing, this one here.
Ooh, definitely Rolls Royce.
It is a Rolls Royce because you step on the throttle pedal and it costs you money every time. This is fantastic.
I think it's time to update my Christmas list.
Definitely. Go to getoutanddrive.com. Get your copy of What Cars Say. Well, welcome back to another incredibly emotional roller coaster of the Get Out and Drive podcast. I am John, custom car nerd Meyer.
And I'm Jason, old car guy Carr.
We've got Dalton Summitt here with us today. And for some reason or another, he's driving a GTO that should not be on the road. By my choice, you can just do whatever you want with any car you want. I'll let Dalton tell us about his GTO.
Yeah, guys, this is the Holey Goat, which is aptly named because it's got a lot of holes in it. It's kind of a rolling colander of a 1970 GTO, and yeah, it was used as target practice for about 4 decades by a couple of brothers down in Texas, and I bought it out of the Great Mopar Horde auction, wherein this was, I think, the only non-Chrysler product down there, and it shows. But
it looks pretty nice from my video here on my screen.
Well, yeah, I got the Walmart seat covers, I got all the air conditioning going right now, so it's really comfy. Yeah.
It's a little leaky. You get new weather strips and stuff for the side windows.
Yeah, and some caulking.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. I got the wipers working. I got my strings here.
Oh, perfect.
Running the It's a 2-man operation.
It's a 2-man.
Yeah. It's
It is. Yes, like it's right out of the Red Green show.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff on my channel is, but this thing it takes the rat rod thing to the extreme, I think, and pushes the boundary of legality, I would say.
Nice. It is a real GTO. It is a numbers GTO.
Yes, it is a real 1970 GTO. It's originally medium blue with a black vinyl top. Base 400 car, turbo 400 automatic, 10-bolt open diff originally. Had a factory 8-track player. It was actually a pretty well-appointed car once upon a time. Not so much anymore, though.
You don't have a build sheet or anything on it, or?
I never sent off for the PHS. Pontiac has that where you can send them the VIN and they'll send you some stuff. But okay. I never really bothered for but it's like $120, and that's better spent dumping it in the gas tank, as far as I'm concerned.
So Dalton, how much did they actually pay to take that off the property? I mean, was that the case, or did you actually put money towards this thing?
You will not believe it, but I actually had to pay money for this, and
Whoa.
I had to drive 10 hours one way to actually. I had to voluntarily go and acquire this thing. I know, but
So you didn't lose a bet or something?
no, I kind of won it by accident actually.
Oh,
So,
oh no.
I went to the duct tape drags down in Tucson last year, and I'm driving on the way back in my Corvette, and I'm on the highway and looking at my phone like you shouldn't do. And I see Steve Magnotte made a post about the car, so I looked into it a little bit, and I said, "Oh, what the hell? I'll throw $200 at it." And it was like 3 weeks later that I got an email just out of the blue that said you won a 1970 GTO, and I was like, well, I had completely forgotten that I had even bid on the car. And I was like, oh, hell, where is that thing? And it's way down in West Texas. I mean, way out in the middle of nowhere. And I almost didn't even go get the car. I was like, yeah, $200, screw it, I'll pay them, and they can just go junk it, and I won't even go get it. But me and a buddy decided to go get it, and I'm glad we did because it turned into something pretty cool. But it almost didn't happen.
What is the story that made the car that people started shooting at it? What do you have the story behind that?
Yeah, a little bit. So one of the brothers, Howard, is still alive, and I actually just met up with him on the road trip we took to bring the car back to Texas. And the story is nothing real dramatic. I mean, it's like it was just a car back in the '70s, and his brother had a friend who had a girlfriend who had this car in the mid '70s, and she drove it. Something broke in it, and she sold it to his brother's friend who was going to use it for parts and never used it, so it sat out on the ranch. Then they all got bored, decided to start shooting it, and it never stopped. So,
I'm guessing some alcohol may or may not have been involved in that decision.
I mean, I don't want to make any suppositions, but I would assume that you are correct. Yes.
Because obviously, if you've got a perfectly good 70 GTO sitting in a field, chances are you're probably not going to do that. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And I just want to paint a picture for our listeners. Obviously, on podcast, you can't see what we're talking about. So, Dalton, paint the picture of what this car looked like the day that you pulled up with your truck and trailer and got it loaded on. Like, be as detailed as possible.
All right. So we pull up down there. It's in the desert. No, I mean, the car is literally buried in a sand wash. The entire interior of the car is full of dirt and cactuses and just junk. I mean, up to the transmission tunnel, about a foot of it. The hood, or the roof rather, is crushed, almost flat. They've been pushing it around with a loader, flipping the car over, I mean, for years. There's massive holes torn in the side of the car from the forks of the loader. It's got 10,000 bullet holes in it. That's not an exaggeration at all. And the driver's door is bolted to the A-pillar, but dragging on the ground somehow because the A-pillar is pushed back so far that it's just, you couldn't even open it, shut it, anything. It was actually dragging up the trailer when we loaded it up. But for the most part, it's relatively complete. I mean, it's got a motor in it, it's got transmission in it. And that's what initially kind of drew me to the cars. Under the hood, it still had the carburetor, had the intake, had the exhaust manifolds. I mean, lots of parts that are worth a little bit of money if they haven't gotten shot, but it is actually, other than the valve covers, it was totally complete, and it even still had one of its factory exhaust splitters on it. for the factory dual exhaust. They had the stainless steel exhaust splitters on the back, and it still had one of those. Uh, but I mean, it just looked like hell getting dropped onto the trailer by the front loader. And I definitely was kind of questioning my own sanity for all the way home after that. But it sat around for a couple of weeks before I started digging into it. And well, all the body work was done courtesy of a 8-pound sledge. So, yeah, that's how you do it.
Was that the birth of your channel with this car?
So I did I tried, I kind of dipped my toes in a little before that, and I was all over the place with content, and I didn't really find my groove until I got this car. And I found a niche with, I don't know, there's something to be said about taking something that is just so totally far gone, but still giving it a chance to live again. And I think that kind of resonated with people, so it really made the channel take off. And yeah, but there's some hate, but not as much as you might think. There's the purists hate it, but some of the purists love it, because it's one more GTO that you're not drinking beer out of, right? So,
Definitely,
it could just be scrap metal, but it's not.
And Dalton, for those who don't know, your YouTube channel is called Pole Barn Garage. And
Yes.
this is where, if you guys are interested in watching some of the outtakes and some of the goings on with this Holey Goat, make sure you head over to YouTube, look up Pole Barn Garage, and you'll find Dalton over there. We'll have some of those links down in the description of the podcast. So one of the things that drew me in very, very quickly to that car, besides the door kind of falling off and the roof caved in and well, the bullet holes and the cactus and all that stuff, was the front headlight panel on those cars. Now, those cars, they weren't fiberglass, they weren't metal, they were. John knows exactly what they're made of. I don't know
their GM term for it is Endura.
Endura. So they're like an injection mold type front end, and that part, believe it or not, was still on this car.
Yep. Yeah, it's still there. It's looks like they prefer to use bird shot on the nose of the car. It's got, it's looks like pimples all over it. It's got there's still BBs stuck in it actually. But it is actually straight and salvageable. It is, you're right. It's kind of a wonder that it's still there, because you could strip that off and use it, and that is worth something. It's amazing that didn't get scavenged. That it does retain its GTO-ness.
Yes. So now, do you have explain to us what all you did to? Obviously, you did a ton of things, and people can see that on your channel. But describe what you did to make it roadworthy. Did you use pieces of other cars? Do you have glass in it? How much is it roadworthy?
Sure. Roadworthy is a very relative term.
That's why I ask. Understanding, yes, understanding that no state troopers from your state are listening to our podcast. But go ahead.
So when I drug it in, first step was just kind of rip the sheet metal off the car and be able to put the car together, because there wasn't one thing that was going to fit on this thing after being pushed around by a loader for so long. So it was a lot of sledge work, a lot of porta power work, just to get things to sort of look like they fit. And in the meantime, while I was doing that, most of the car is built out of spare parts. I'm a Pontiac guy, but I like everything. But I've had a lot of 70 to 72 A-body Pontiacs. So I got a lot of parts that weren't necessarily good enough for better restorations, but they're plenty good enough for this. And so, I had a lot: suspension parts, the springs, and I had the engine is an extra 400 I had. The transmission is an extra turbo 400 I had laying around. The rear end was somebody else's spare rear end that they sent me. So everything in the car is used for the most part. Brake system is, I had the master cylinder and the booster just laying around, used them. I think the only new parts I bought were pads and calipers. And I reused all the brake lines in the car that were in it. So for safety, But
So, folks, if you are within earshot of this podcast right now and you've got your very own bullet hole riddled 70 GTO, you can find all those parts you need to get that thing back together at racingjump.com. Make sure you head on over there, search for those parts that you need. There's no cost. You can even sell parts if you want. There's guys like Dalton out there looking to buy them. So head on over to racingjunk.com.
Look, I know everyone wants to get out and drive, but it's been difficult with the price of gas lately. But get out and drive doesn't have to mean physically driving your ride.
Get out and drive means sharing your auto repair skills with the next generation. Hashtag what drives youth.
Get out and drive means watching a classic road trip movie or something with a cool chase scene.
Get out and drive means hosting a car show or a cruise.
Get out and drive means working on that project car to get it ready to get out and drive.
Get out and drive means get those toy cars, Hot Wheels, remote control cars, and die casts and burn up the pavement.
Get out and drive means supporting organizations that help keep the automotive industry and hobby alive.
What does get out and drive mean to you?
Let us know by leaving a message on our listener hotline. Just go to getoutanddrive.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click the listener hotline button.
John, it's great to have some awesome Drive Day ambassadors joining our team all the way up and down the East Coast. You know, we're heading inland. We're trying to make our way west. So if your name is not on this list and you want to be a Drive Day ambassador and you're out there somewhere in the Midwest or the Rockies or on the coast, let us know, because we want to get some stickers and some stuff out to you to help us get the word out of National Get Out and Drive Day.
So you built your car from stuff you had laying around holding the door open in your garage.
yeah.
Just like we call, the car guys call it, like floor parts. I don't want to ever throw this away, and I'm a hoarder. And
Exactly.
this I'll just jam this on another car. That's fantastic.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's a few. There are some goodies in the car, but they're very few and far between. Holly has partnered with a lot of, not a lot, but the carburetor, the radiator. It's got a few kind of key goodies to it that I selected, but I didn't want to make the car. I've always been the type that I'd like to do things that a regular guy can go do that doesn't necessarily have all the extra money, right? So, if it's something that somebody could assemble at a swap meet and junkyard parts, that's the route I would rather take. Just because I can get sponsored parts, I'm not going to take everything I get my hands on, because that kind of puts it out of the realm of the regular guy.
So is your glass on the car like super clean, or there's not glass in it?
If you've seen the Windex commercials where the birds fly into them, they just fly right through this one.
Oh, so there's no glass in it. Does it have rear glass?
Does not. There's no rear glass. It has a windshield.
Nice.
We did put a window in it. I had to buy a brand new windshield for it.
Like a GTO dune buggy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, but actually, you drive it, it whistles a little bit because of the bullet holes. It's kind of like a dog whistle going down the road.
That's fantastic. It does keep the deer out of the road.
Oh yeah, I've never even come close to hitting one, and all the dogs go crazy for like half a mile any direction.
Wow. It's making noise that you can't hear, so that's fantastic.
It's supersonic.
So time-wise, how long do you have from the fantastic decision that I need to buy this wreck to roadworthy?
So I bought it in October of 21, late October of 21. I started work, I think the first week of December of 21. And the car was running, driving, and on the road by March of this year. And it's improved some since then, but the core of the car was complete by then.
Mm-hmm. Roadworthy enough to turn the key and go.
Right. And I took it to a Autorama World of Wheels car show where I will probably never be allowed to return to. They did not appreciate it as much as most of the people appreciated it.
Who cares?
Semantics.
It's only done. I mean, like at the end of a carnival, they got to sweep up the garbage at the end. When you left, they had to clean your area.
I did. It left plenty of it marked its territory there. That's for sure.
Nice. Sell little baggies, little dime bags of patina.
Yeah, I actually did. I actually kept a cup of dirt that I took out of the car, and I give that away to people that are deserving to have such a fine gift.
Wow.
But, I am actually.
I was going to ask you if it has glass in it. We'll have to get you a National Get Out and Drive Day from October 2nd this year. We'll have to get you a drive day decal for the window.
Yes, yeah, we can put that in the front window for sure.
Oh,
and maybe it'll cover up where it broke.
Oh, wow. Because the frame wasn't square and it broke?
Yeah, you could say that. I used 4 tubes of urethane to put this in. And because I couldn't get the frame square at all. Mm-hmm. So we took sheet metal, like 4-inch wide chunks of scrap metal, then self-tapping screwed it around the window frame in what kind of looked like the window. And then we just glued it with about 4 inches of urethane all the way around. It's a real pro job. Safe Light's been knocking down my door trying to get me ever since then, but I'm not for hire.
Like when you were done, did you just tap the roof and say, that ain't going nowhere?
No, I knocked on wood and prayed.
Yeah. Well, one thing about driving down the road with that type of situation is you at least got the wind helping you push it into place and keep it in place. Right. So, I mean, if you're driving backwards, you're on your own, but hopefully if you're keeping it forward, driving down the road, you'll be doing all right. Yep. I'm curious to find out a little bit about your background, Dalton, to say, how did you get to where you are today to be able to do what you do with your cars and on your YouTube channel? Do you have a background? Do you have an influencer?
I have some big influences. Roadkill. I mean, obviously, those guys are great. And Vice Grip Garage is a huge influence too. Derek over there. I like to say that I'm kind of like if Derek has a cousin Eddie, I'm kind of like that. Those are big influences on me. But as far as being able to do what I do, I work a regular blue collar job like anybody. I'm an industrial electrician by trade, and I'm not rolling in it. I work with what I got. But it all kind of worked with the YouTube thing. That's been a hell of a ride. They're pretty good experience. But, we got a couple other projects on the channel. I'm doing a 69 Plymouth Roadrunner that's been rolled and burned. To kind of follow in the same vein as the Holey Goat here. It is the rolled runner.
Nice. And, nice. I love fantastic car names.
Right. It's a must. And then a 1959 Ford Fairlane that my son, who's 11, and I have been kind of rebuilding, do it low buck budget, kind of rebuild, body paint, and definitely outside the realm of the GTO because it'll actually wind up being a fairly nice car, but there's something for everybody.
What is a little bit of your background other than your channel? Like, where did you start being interested in cars? What's your spark? Where did you start from way back then?
My dad, was always big into cars. He still is. He's 64 now and he's still going strong. I mean, he pumps out cars quicker than I do. So we always had a cool car growing up. I was always out in the shop with him working. He helped me with I had to buy my own first car, but he helped me along with it, showing me how to do body paint work for the most part. The mechanical side of things, I kind of self-taught, but he was a body man for a long time, so he's pretty good at that. They've always been around the family because of him. We never did any racing or anything like that. Really never even did car shows or anything. It was just to have something fun to go drive around in.
And that's good because if we don't have those influences in our lives to carry on that passion, you say you got an 11-year-old who's kind of following you and helping you with that build. And the whole premise behind what we like to do with our podcast is to try and get that word out there and make sure that, you know, whatever we're doing, we're getting youth involved, and we're trying to make sure that they understand the principle behind the old cars and the preservation. And even if it's doing what you're doing with this rolling wreck of a goat, that it's one more that's on the road and not being crushed in a junkyard somewhere, right? So that is part of what Get Out and Drive really is all about. Is we love to hear these stories. Your son, how involved is he? Is he getting his hands dirty and greasy? Is he turning wrenches? Like what is it that he likes to do?
So to me, father and son project too many times means dad does the work and son watches, holds the flashlight, gets yelled at, right?
Right.
And that's not how my dad did it with me. And so that's not how I'm doing it with him. Yeah, we rebuilt a 390 for his 59 Ford. And he did everything except for the heavy lifting. You know, I mean, I had to put the pistons in, I had to lift the crank up and put that in, but like he rolled all the bearings in, he disassembled the engine. He did at least half of the work, which is, you know, exactly how I want. He's out block sanding it right now, you know, because he's into it and he digs it. But if you let a kid work on it and get his hands dirty, get involved, but then you let them experience the reward of that work, which is just key. Let them have their moment, which we all love as car guys, right? You know, that's why you go and make yourself miserable working on the junk, right? Is so you can get that moment, that high off of, you know, oh, wow, this finally came together kind of thing. That's pretty addictive. And I think you get that into a kid's head early, they'll remember that. You know, I don't know if it'll keep them out of trouble. I know it always got me into trouble, but you know.
Well, you know what they say, you teach a kid how to work on cars or how to race, and they'll never have enough money for drugs, right? Like it's its own drug.
It's true.
Have you been hassled by any police or anybody on the street, or been pulled over or anything because of the car?
No, actually, I okay. Knock on the ceiling. I haven't been pulled over yet. I had a cop when we took it on its road trip, you know, 2,000-mile road trip through 4 states. I mean, we passed plenty of them. They didn't even look at it. But I did have one Kansas state trooper. He took a picture of it, and I gave him a sticker for the channel. You know, my local cops, they think it's cool. I mean, they don't mind at all.
Good.
And but I mean, really, they don't. At least here in Missouri, things. You know, I don't know how it is elsewhere, but technically, this car is perfectly road legal here. I mean, all the lights work, everything works. The car, you know, it's safe-ish, you know, mechanically.
Oh, sure.
And you only need a front windshield. Actually, I don't even think you need a windshield in Missouri. I might have gone above and beyond with that. But
I know I'm in St. Louis, and I've driven around some vehicles that were pretty sketchy.
Yeah, and that's just their daily drivers. So
right. I had a 73 Torino that my brother and I drove around, and we proceeded to drive it into everything in the whole entire St. Louis County area, trash dumpsters and walls and buildings, and we did everything because now the statute of limitations is kind of up on that. We painted it up, and we spray painted it up, looked like a demo derby car, and cut the exhaust off it, and we went cruising up on South Lindbergh, where all the show cars and everything were on the Friday and Saturday nights, and we drove around with this car. It looked like it just won a demolition derby, and that was one of the best weekends of my life.
I bet. That sounds like a good time.
It was a fantastic time. Then we yanked the motor out of that, and it went into my brother's Torino. That was a 351 Windsor. Or it went into his Maverick, out of the Torino and into the Maverick. So we put a Windsor in his Maverick. So
yeah,
that was certainly fun. But we had fun with a parts car before we yanked it apart.
Definitely, that's the way to do it.
So you've done a couple of vehicles on your channel. Obviously, the Holey Goat seems to be getting a lot of attention right now. What aspirations do you have for the future of project vehicles? Do you have anything lined up?
Yeah, so I got the Roadrunner, like I said earlier. It's a real '69 Roadrunner, 383 4-speed car. That's trashed. Uh, and boy, big Pontiac guys can give you some heat. Mopar guys, oh my God, they're ravenous. They they appreciate what I'm doing a little less, but I have no intention of actually repairing the car. It's pretty bad, uh, but it's a solid car. Somebody could restore it, but not me. So my whole goal with it is just I took it out of a junkyard. It was definitely just going to get pulled for the VIN and the title, right, and then going to get swapped onto something. Uh, but I didn't want that to happen, so I got it out of a junkyard out in Great Bend, Kansas, and I'm just going to put it back on the road as is. I bought a motorhome, did the classic, cut the motorhome up, yanked the 440 out of it, 727. So that's going in there. It's going to be ultra budget, but it should actually have a little pep to it. It still has the 8 3/4 in it with 355s and a sure grip. So that's a big bonus. So that's going to be the next one. I was kind of bouncing between it and my son JD's car. And I've kind of lately I've just been focusing on JD's car, the '59 Ford Fairlane, because it's pretty close. And we just drove it for the first time, actually, just a few days ago. After that motor we put in it was rusted solid out of the truck we pulled it from. And we tore it apart, salvaged everything we could. We reused the cam, reused the lifters. We hand lapped in the valves. We did a dingle ball hone on it, cleaned up the cylinders as best as we could. And I bought the cheapest parts I could find on the internet to put it together. And just went full send with it. It runs pretty good.
Back to the Roadrunner for a second. You didn't happen to pick that up from my buddy Chad Ehrlich?
Sure did. Yep.
Nice. Nice.
See, the world is small. Listen to Jason.
The world is small. It is totally. And I think that totally off topic, Chad would be an awesome interview. Just saying. But I think that the whole point of being a car guy, having a YouTube channel, putting our presence out there for everyone to see is what kind of brings the community closer together. You mentioned, having Derek from Vice Grip Garage as kind of inspiration to what you do. And again, to bring the community together, we do a live stream, which is kind of partnered with the Get Out and Drive podcast on Thursday nights, called the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. That's my YouTube channel, and a partner of mine who has a YouTube channel down in Kansas. And that's how we met Chad. And Derek will be a guest on our show coming up in October. So for those of you who are listening now, make sure you head over to the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. We got lots of great stuff going on over there too. So part of what we're doing, I guess, and the point I was trying to make was networking. We do a lot of this stuff because we have the same interests. We love cars. We want to preserve them, no matter what condition that might be. And we want to basically just, pardon the pun, but we just want to get out and drive. There's that main goal for a lot of people. We don't build them to sit in the garage. We don't build them to trailer around. I mean, although some people do. But you got to get out and drive them. Besides this car right here that you're sitting in now, what is it that you love to get out and drive in?
I drive a '75 Corvette almost every day to work, and it's just my driver. I mean, it's an old car. I've put a lot of work into it, but it's just a car to me. I mean, it's a cool car, but it's just a car. Almost all of my cars are like that. They're transportation first and foremost. And you're kind of nailed it there. I mean, that's something I think is lost on people today, is these were just transportation at one time. They were cool, they were badass, but they were just transportation. And they're not meant to be sitting in a museum. They're not meant to go to your local cruise night every Friday and that's it. Drive them, and if you do it right, and you don't even got to do it right. I mean, case in point. But
You got to have a sense of humor to be piloting that wreck.
For sure. But if you do it at least sort of right, there's no reason any old car can't be reliable and used as a car. I mean, that's what they're for. I mean, they worked just fine back then. What's the problem? I wouldn't be scared to drive this pile of crap literally anywhere in this country because I put it together. I know it inside and out, and I can fix it with like a rock and some bubble gum if I have to. You know, I mean, they're so simple.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Have you or do you have any? Are you going to take this to Pontiac Nationals?
No, not this year. Well, I think it already happened this year. I don't know. I'm not real big into that scene, really. With the car
and I was only talking about going to Pontiac Nationals just for shock factor, or if anybody has talked to you about going.
I have been asked. I actually got asked by the POCI guys to go, but I might make it next year, just like you said, for the shock factor, just kind of to ruin it. That's kind of my goal with everything.
Right, exactly. Yeah, wearing a bathrobe to a black tie event.
Exactly. There's cut off jean shorts and yep.
Yes,
that's what I'm into. That's why I took it to the World Wheel, an Autorama event, because that's kind of the epitome of the show car guy. I mean, I parked next to a guy in this beautiful cameo Chevy pickup. He's out there polishing it with a toothbrush. Mm-hmm. And then I had hordes of people gathered around this pile of junk sitting.
Please tell me you got pictures of you dusting it off with a California car duster.
Oh, of course.
California car duster on the roof.
Yes, that's in the video on that too. I did have a California car duster. It kind of got shredded. This thing, I
would say it gets stuck in the little holes.
Yeah. It didn't hold up very good. I was not very impressed with the California car duster. I'm afraid they need a Kevlar one.
Definitely, yeah. So your review of California car duster, it does not work on vehicles with bullet holes.
No, it doesn't, and that was not on the packaging.
No. Terrible. And when we thank you for your review.
Oh, I'm glad to supply it.
There goes my chances of getting a free one from California Car Duster.
Yeah, sorry, man.
No, all is good. One thing that I like to ask people, and we kind of will get to this in a little bit when we do our lightning round of questions before we get done here. I always like to find out what the first car that you had that kind of was a project car. What was that first car that kind of put you in the motion of doing what you do?
All right. Well, my first car is actually kind of three cars, but well before I was 16, I saved up my money over summer. I bought a 65 Mustang Coupe. And it was just an atrocious pile of garbage. I mean, probably made this GTO look good. I mean, the shackles were sticking through the trunk pan. I mean, it was total garbage. There's no way I was ever going to drive that car, but I spit polished that thing up and butchered that body to make it look as good as I could. I bought all the red shaker can vinyl dye, cleaned it up, and and then I traded that off for a 76 Ranchero, which I also kind of spit shined up, polished it up. Then I traded that car for a car I still have, but I drove through high school. It's a 72 Pontiac Le Mans. Mm-hmm. And that started my love of Pontiacs. That car was way too much car for a 16-year-old. It had a half-dead 389 in it. I mean, just in an open diff, it would just burn that one tire off forever. It would blow the dipstick literally out of the engine. The rings were so shot in it. But, man, I had so much fun in it. And I kept the car. I still have it. That car is definitely what set me down the path of, that this is what I want to spend every single extra penny I ever make on. I guess I'm grateful.
Yeah, that's it. That's the most terrible thing you could do is just to think you want to work on cars. Yeah. It's terrible. the most rewarding and the most terrible thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Yep, 100%.
You know, Jason, we sure get to talk a lot.
Yes, and some of us more than others.
Who, me?
I'm not pointing any fingers.
Yes, you are. But we want to hear from our listeners. Just go to our website, getoutandDrive.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click the listener hotline button. We want to hear from you. Cool stories, breakdown stories,
Questions, comments,
hate mail,
even hate mail?
even hate mail. You got a car show in your area? Let us know.
Tell us an interesting story.
Let us know what you like to get out and drive. You've got some questions for Dalton, you said?
Yeah, I think that we should do our lightning round, and we've got 10 questions, Dalton, that we're going to ask you. Basically, one or two word answers. We're going to go through them very, very quickly, and it's just basically what comes to the top of your mind, okay, when we ask these questions.
Got it.
All right, so we're going to start here right away. Question number one, what's your favorite movie?
Vanishing Point.
Okay, which leads me into number two. What was your favorite car or movie car?
Movie car. 2-lane blacktop 55 Chevy.
And we already asked this question. What was your first car?
65 Ford Mustang.
What's your current car?
Lots.
What's the worst car you ever owned?
This. 1970 GTO.
Facebook Marketplace or eBay?
Marketplace.
Favorite music genre?
Classic rock.
Who's your favorite actor?
Clint Eastwood.
LS, Coyote, or Hemi?
None.
Yes, you got to answer it.
Oh, God. LS.
And last but not least, Back to the Future, 1, 2, or 3?
1.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks for doing those questions with us. That's one of the things that a lot of guys like when they say talk about their experience here on the Get Out and Drive podcast, is doing that little bit of a lightning round. So thanks for being a team player and providing us with some answers.
Definitely.
Dalton, you told me that you're going to be a participant in the No Name Nationals here in Sikeston in Missouri. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's going to be an event at Jeffers Motorsports Park in Sikeston. And I'm just going there, but it's kind of a cool story to it. The AHRA's put it on. Dallas Brown and John Wilburn is promoting it, and it's worth a look if anybody's interested. Everybody there has to have 500 YouTube subscribers. So I signed on to it early, but a lot of these guys have started from nothing, and they've been working as hard to get their 500 YouTube subscribers as they have been on their cars. But there will be a burnout competition, pit bike racing, 8th mile drag racing, that kind of stuff down there. And I'll be there. Uncle Tony will be there. There'll be a few guys down there, and a whole bunch of these guys that have just started from nowhere and built their channels. It's pretty cool.
Well, that's awesome. That seems like that's in my backyard because I'm out of St. Louis Metro, and I'll see if that fits in our schedule, and I'll certainly keep you informed.
Yeah. It's September 30th and October 1st is the dates on that.
And that kind of leads right into National Get Out and Drive Day on October 2nd. It's the first Sunday in October. So if you guys are listening to this podcast right now, and you're heading down to Sikeston to the big No Name Nationals, what an opportunity to grab yourself a Get Out and Drive Day sticker, support the cause, and get out and drive your ride, even if it's on the way home or you're towing it back on a trailer, whatever the case may be. Make sure you head on over to the Get Out and Drive website and register yourself for National Get Out and Drive Day.
Well, very cool. Well, I'm sorry you have to continue driving that wreck that you have there, but it is hopefully, because we're in the same state. I think you're on the Kansas City side. I'm on St. Louis side.
Yeah.
Right?
You're plenty far enough away. You don't got to worry about it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, if I see you, I'll make sure to cross over and just get off and wait.
You should. You never know what might happen.
That's
And if you
true.
hear those dogs whistling behind you, you got to know to pull over, right?
It's
Well,
a
very-
warning.
Yes, yes. Well, cool. Well, very cool. And one more time for everybody, go ahead and shout out your socials and your YouTube channel so where everybody can see you and they can find you.
So you can check me out on YouTube, Pole Barn Garage, youtube.com/Pole Barn Garage, and bring it right there. I got a Facebook page, Pole Barn Garage, and I'm on the Instagrams, whatever the kids are calling it these days, Pole Barn Garage. It's all the same stuff.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much for hanging out with us for a little bit, Dalton. And I wish you luck with your car in the future, and hopefully we'll cross paths.
Well, you might hope so. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait for a ride in the Holey Goat.
No, dude, if we meet up, I'll let you drive it.
Oh, my.
We'll let you get the first ticket.
Wow. All right. Well, that sounds fun. That sounds like a deal. All right, man. Well, thank you for hanging out with us.
You bet.
Speed over to our friends at racingjunk.com and sign up for a Pro Club membership. Use the code GETOUT to receive a discount when you sign up for a Pro Club membership. Cruise on over to our website, getoutanddrive.com, for all the info you never wanted to know about our podcast. Hit us up on our listener hotline, be the first to know what's happening, get industry news, and grab your Get Out and Drive merch. Connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Follow us on Twitter at Get Out and Drive Pod.
What drives you?